Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is Keith Sykes. He's going to share a story about his friendship with Kris Kristofferson.
Kris, when he was married to Rita, we saw him more in those years. I don't know, I guess they came to Memphis more, or we were just somewhere where he was more or something. But anyway, in 1979, in January of 79, so it's been, how many years it's been, he asked us if we wanted to come up to do this thing with him, or just be with him when they did this thing called the Year of the Child. It was on a big television network. The United Nations has this thing called UNESCO, and they did this charity event called the Year of the Child. And everybody in the music and all these actors, comedians, all these famous people, I mean, just tons of them were all just one spot. In the UN building is where they filmed it. Kris did a thing with Rod Stewart. And he got back from the sound check and he says, damn, man, everybody's supposed to, give him a song or something. So I gave him this album cut. Rod Stewart gave him Maggie May. I feel kind of bad now.
He gave the royalties to Ray?
Yeah, just gave the whole thing over to him, And so hats off to Rod Stewart. But Kris was going, I didn't have it explained to me like that. Or whatever it was. I'm probably messing up some of the details in here, but that's basically what it was. But Kris is a gentle, giant talent person, too. I mean, if he's going to introduce someone, it'd have to be John Prine, Because this guy's, his best friends are Johnny Cash and all those kind of people. And every actor known to man. And I mean, he used to hang out with Muhammad Ali, okay? You just don't do that, or, don't run into Muhammad Ali just hanging out. So, but that's the kind of person he was. And I saw Willie Nelson one night, they were presenting Kris with some honor, and he said, if Kris stayed in the Army, he'd be a general. That's just the kind of person he was. And he was so unassuming, you'd never know it. I mean, I didn't know he was a Rhodes Scholar till 10 years after we knew it. Somebody mentioned, I didn't know what a Rhodes Scholar was until I found out Kris was one, so I looked it all up. Damn, Kris. But Kris, I'll tell you one story. He says, when he was at Rhodes, or in college in England, he was on the boxing team. And like these places like Liverpool and Manchester and those towns like that, their mindset was, if you can't beat the Oxford guys, you may as well just hide your name and go jump off the White Cliffs of Dover or something. Because those are the egghead guys, the really smart guys. So he said, man, he had some bouts, and he said, boy, those guys came out gunning for it. But that's the kind of, he told me things like that, when we'd be hanging out and stuff. He'd see me sometimes, and he'd see me, and I think he did this to everybody. But it sure makes you feel good. Kristofferson sees you, Kris, Keith Sykes, my favorite. And you go, okay, that sounds good to know. But anyway, he's another very generous, kind-hearted person, and just a great, what can you say? I've been listening. Matter of fact, my most listened to song last year, which is just a few days ago now, Why Me? That song somehow got me last year, and I asked Siri, play Why Me by Kris Kristofferson. And it would come on, and it was still, he's got more clever songs and stuff, but that one just speaks to me on another level, obviously, and I wound up just playing it every time I get in the car. And it was 40 years old then, or whatever it is, I don't know. But he wrote those, those songs will live on, I think. They're like John's songs. They're going, and I think if John and Bob Dylan, those songs will last as long as there is people. Kristofferson, probably. But I think for a fact, Bob and John will be in there just because of the nature of it. It's just there's so much. Kristofferson, his great songs are usually ones that are relationships, which is fantastic. Who writes Me and Bobby McGee? That kind of stuff. But all of his songs are just, it's like that picture of the moment, you know. I love those kind of things that do that.
Do you have a favorite version of Me and Bobby McGee?
Well, of course, everybody's favorite has got to be Janis Joplin. I mean, but go ahead.
I usually go for the Jerry Lee Lewis.
Do you?
I ask you because of Memphis, but
Yeah.
I really love
I've
it.
got a good story about Jerry Lee and Kris. Kris used to play the top of the Peabody Hotel. It's called the Skylight or something like that. It's a really swanky nightclub like you'd expect from the 50s, and it's really cool, you know. And after the shows, we'd go down to some big room where Kris would entertain some friends and stuff, and Jerry Lee was there at this one particular night, and there's a bunch of us just sitting around, and out of the blue, like Kris will do, he just grabbed his guitar and stuck it in my hand, and I went, oh, great, I get to, okay. What to play? I never can. It's just like ask me a story. I can't think of anything. So I play this little tune. It's just a little ballad thing, and across this big coffee table after I'm finished, Jerry Lee says, "Now, boy, that's a hit." And I'm thinking, "Damn, that's nice to hear." Pass it on, and Kris said, it finally gets to him, and he's about to play in his pants because Jerry Lee's here. So anyway, it goes and slowly goes around, and it gets to this guy sitting right next to Jerry Lee. And Jerry Lee heard this song and said, "Now, boy, that ain't no hit." And it really wasn't much of a song. I don't know who the guy was. He's probably just as scared as I was. And Kris, and it hadn't been long since Jerry Lee was in the hospital, and Jerry Lee's glass was getting a little low, and he says, "Can I get another one of these whiskey and Cokes," or whatever it was, he's drinking, Jack and Coke or something. And Kris says, "Jerry Lee, you know you're still just fresh out of hospital." He says, I'm fine. And he puts lead in my pencil. And his wife, this new wife that Jerry Lee has, says, "Yeah, but that don't mean you ever write anything." And man, the whole room just became thick as a brick. I couldn't believe my ears. And no one knew what to say. Because, I mean, here's the killer, right? And you're saying he don't ever, puts lead in his pencil, but doesn't mean he don't write anything. Anyway, it's just one of those kind of moments are precious to me because it's just fun to look back on.